Like I said, we're just picking up from where we left off when I saw you guys previously. But today we're going to talk about these 5 indirect crimes. And I always got to be careful about how I explain these. Now, I want to kind of just tell you this. These indirect crimes are really going to be kind of leveled as far as your involvement in the commission of a crime. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is what's called an accomplice to a crime. Now, before I really get into this, I chose these 2 people here for some specific reasons. Now, I need to ask, do you happen to know who these 2 people are? Who are they? Ellie, you know? Bonnie and Clyde. Now, they went on basically like a crime spree in the 1930s where they were robbing banks and they shot multiple people, some injured, some were dead. But they did these crimes together. Now, I use them as an example because an accomplice is someone that helps the principal commit a crime. They do it with them. Now, Bonnie and Clyde are my example here because both of them are basically equally responsible for what they did. Both of them were involved in the bank robberies. Both of them were driving the getaway cars at one point or another. Both of them committed the murders. Now, because they were together when these crimes happened, they're a good example of what an accomplice is. Now, if you're an accomplice and you assist in the committing of that crime, even if you weren't the one that pulled the trigger, you can be charged with the same crime as the principal, the person who did pull the trigger. So in multiple of these bank robberies, someone got shot, and it depends because both of them pulled the trigger at different times, but because the other one was with them, because the other one was helping them commit the crime, that person can be charged for that murder as well. Now, I want to be certain I'm clear on this because we're going to talk more levels in a bit. We okay with this? Okay. Now, it extends beyond that. Even just helping commit the crime in regards to like a getaway car, you can be charged with the same crime as the principal because you're assisting in the committing of that crime. So there were a handful of occasions when one of these 2 would just drive to the bank and the other one would rob the bank and that other person would just stay in the car. They were in and out in a handful of minutes and then they'd drive away. Because they drove them to the bank and drove them away, they're just as equally as responsible for the bank robbery. Now, these 2 are going to have kind of a decent run as far as when their crime spree continues. And they robbed, I forget off the top of my head, I think it was like 30 or 40 banks, if I remember right. They are very successful in what they do. Eventually, these 2 are going to have to face some punishment, though. Now, I want to be certain that we're clear on that. Second thing we're going to talk about is what's called conspiracy. Now, I use them again here because what conspiracy to commit a crime is simply just the planning, the preparation, the idea that we will commit this crime together. Now, conspiracy is something that's actually really kind of vague because it's really easy to prove. If you're going to get someone on conspiracy, all you have to prove is that they were together at one spot at one time. That's it. So, if Haven one day robs a bank, choose you, Haven, you look like a bank robber, okay? Haven robs a bank, all of us could be charged with conspiracy. Now, has Haven talked about robbing a bank? We don't know. Haven, you talked about robbing a bank? That's what a bank robber would say. Here come the police to all of us say, you know Haven, don't you? Say, yes, we sure do. She just robbed a bank. Did you help her do that? Say, no, I had no idea she was going to do that. Maybe the police believe you, maybe they don't. So they can charge any of us with conspiracy. So Haven, if you could do us a favor, please don't rob a bank, okay? That actually really help us out. Now, oftentimes, charging someone with conspiracy is one of those tricks that we had talked about where a prosecutor can just throw a bunch of charges at you and see what sticks. Now, if Haven robs the bank, she's guilty of robbing the bank, we might be guilty of conspiracy. But probably a prosecutor's not coming at us. They don't have anything, or we don't have anything that they want. We'll tell them, look, I never heard of this. I don't know, Haven, she robbed the bank. I've never heard her talk about it. But what if you're one of Haven's really close friends? I'm looking at you, Nick. Nick, did you help her plan the bank robbery? No. Tell you what, we're going to charge you with conspiracy unless you give us what we want. We want information. As long as you just tell us, you just talk. Just talk and you don't have to worry about it. We'll drop the charges as long as you talk. Do we have a deal?
No, it's not that information.
Great. See you in jail. I don't think you guys are bank robbers, okay? I just want to throw that out there. No questions, Zach?
How does that work? Like, I guess that you can negotiate charges like that, because can you just submit trumped charges even if somebody doesn't know anything and ask them to tell the lie or something?
Let's go to court and find out what you know. Gotta hire a defense attorney.
So
Or just cooperate. Just tell us everything you know.
But I don't know anything.
We'll see.
Everything they know or everything that they want to say?
That's an excellent question. And let me just go ahead and say this. If we bring in Nick and say, look, we got you on conspiracy because we know that you two are together, they can start questioning, asking you everything you know. And if Nick just says, I don't know anything, she didn't say anything to me, it's totally up to the person doing the questioning. If they believe you, they'll say, look, he doesn't know anything, you can let him go. Or you get a lawyer. Now I'll tell you this. You find yourself in a situation where the police are questioning you and you're sitting in a little room and they've got the camera on and everything, get a lawyer immediately. Don't say a word. You just say, I want my lawyer. That's it. That's all you do. It's perfectly legal. Now, I will tell you as well, you can cooperate with the police. That's fine. Answer the questions that they ask you. But you got to remember, anything you say can be used against you.
And it will be.
Certainly will. So conspiracy is one of those things where they can throw it at you and they can use it as leverage. Because there's something else that I want to share with you. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. The police are allowed to lie to you. There's this great saying, someone said the police have what's called a license to lie. You can't lie to them. That's a whole other charge. But they can lie to you. So oftentimes what the police will do is if you have a partner in a crime here, got to go back to Haven the bank robber, what they'll do is they'll take you two and split you up. Put one person in one room, one person in the other. So you can't talk to each other. Police will come into your room and say, look, I don't want to give you any bad news here, but your partner already gave you up. He said that you were responsible for everything. Wow, can't believe what a terrible friend would do that. You want to tell us what we want to know about him? It's a trick, but they can do it. They have a license to lie. So here's what I'd say. You're getting questioned by the police, and they come in and they say, your friend already gave you up. What you say is, I want my lawyer. And I'm not going to say anything. That's perfectly legal. The founders gave you that protection. They gave you Fifth Amendment rights to say, I'm not going to say anything to help in my own conviction. Now, when you're a conspirator, this is a separate crime. So if we want to throw charges at someone, we can charge Haven with the bank robbery and conspiracy. Maybe we can't get her on the bank robbery. Maybe we can. But we can get her on conspiracy because I bet she planned this at some point. Now, you're not going to get probably the sentence you want if you only get conspiracy, but this is a whole other charge. Now, we okay with conspiracy? Okay? I want to do this other one here that people sometimes sort of get confused. So I want to be crystal clear about how this works. Accessory and accomplice are similar, but they are very different. Accessory is a lower level of commission of a crime. Accessory is just, yes, you help the crime be committed or you assist the person who did it, but you weren't there to do it with them. You're not robbing the bank with them. Accessory just means you did something for that person who committed the crime. Now, there are two types of accessory. There's what's called accessory before the fact, meaning that you helped that person commit the crime and you knew what they were going to do before they did it. So if they're going to rob a bank and they say, I need your car to do it, and you hand them the keys to the car, they go off and rob the bank and come back and drop your car off. You weren't with them when they committed the crime. You didn't rob the bank, but you gave them the car to do it. You're an accessory before the fact. You can be charged with a bank robbery. You can get the same charge as the principal. Yes, Mom?
Does it count if the accessory person is like ignorant of the fact that they're actually helping with the crime?
I need to borrow your car.
But yeah.
Here are my keys. Go off and rob a bank, come back. Thank you for letting me borrow your car. Here are your keys back.
What if you didn't know?
It depends on what they'll believe. If you can prove and say, I had no idea this was going to happen, they believe you, then you'll be okay. If not, you're an accessory. Yes, sir.
So that means now anytime you give out your card to anybody, even if they're your friends, you just videotape them saying, okay, hey, you're on video now, I'm giving you my car keys, why are you taking my car? Well, you got the proof that you're no longer an accessory.
Don't hang out with people who rob a bank. I'm just kidding. But yes. Now, I'll say this too. You load your car out to someone, they go rob a bank, police come and find you, and you can say up and down, I had nothing to do with this. Burden of proof is on them. They got to prove you did know. Now, that's a really tough issue right there. So again, what I would say is, loan your car to people you trust. Now, there's also accessory after the fact. Accessory after the fact is you help someone after the crime has been committed. Now, you didn't know it was going to happen. You didn't know even what they did. You know nothing about it. But you help them afterwards. You're accessory after the fact. Now, again, let's kind of play it out. Friend robs a bank, comes to you and says, I need your car. I got to run from the police. They take your car and they run to Canada. Police show up at your house and they say, did you give this person your keys? Say, yes, I sure did. You're not guilty of the bank robbery. You can't be charged with the same crime as the principal. But you can be charged with other crimes. You can be charged with harboring a fugitive, aiding and abetting, and maybe the most broad kind of charge that we have on the books, it might be the biggest, is obstruction of justice. Obstructing justice can mean a lot of things. If you lie to the police, you're obstructing justice. If you don't hand over evidence that they've asked for, you're obstructing justice. If you don't respond fast enough, you're obstructing justice. For example, if they say, we think that your laptop has information on it about this crime, we need your laptop. If you don't comply within a certain number of days, you can be considered obstructing justice. There's a lot of things that fall under this big umbrella. Yes, sir?
So, technically, can they only access your laptop when they have a warrant, right?
Yeah. But if you don't provide it